Happy Speak Now Taylor's version release week.
Woo! Speak now.
Man, that was not as it was rehearsed, but that's fine. We got there in the end.
It was the heavy prompting eye for me of like,
yeah, like if you don't do it now.
This is the moment to say we are speaking now on how we feel about Marvel's latest crime against women, and we'll discuss that later in the episode. I've got a beautiful Speak Now themed sunset happening behind my camera. I have a burning hatred for what the MCU is doing by casting incredibly talented actresses into silly little roles that they deserve better from. And I've got 3 of my best friends on screen with me. So let's have a really fun 2 hours together, shall we?
woohoo!
Of course, there's all of you hanging out with us, all of our friends here. This is one big friend group hug happening tonight. LOL, Speak Now, Speak Zao, welcome back, Bucky, welcome JJ, the king of Speak Now content. Welcome Marissa, Sly, and Alexis, our first show all together in a minute, it feels like, which is hooray, very exciting.
1,000 years.
1,000 years have passed since the last time we were all together. I'm coming to you live with a huge mosquito bite on my neck. So if you see me doing this throughout the episodes, because I'm trying not to scratch it while we talk. Super fun. Who else has a bug bite or ailment they'd like to disclose before we start the show? Marissa?
I actually don't have any bug bites. I didn't get any bug bites all week. And I spent many days outside. The sun went down, the sweatsuit went on. So
Brilliant. Yeah. And how was your week? Where are you checking in tonight? Speak Now, burning hatred for MCU. Where are we on both scales?
Yeah, I'm on all scales at all times. I'm right there with you.
I have something to say about that, but we can come back to that later in the episode. Yeah.
No, I think I'm trying to embrace the positive. So I'm a little more invested in Speak Now right now. But we'll crank up the heat in a second about Marvel.
Absolutely. Speaking of cranking up the heat, our resident hot topic supplier, Sly. I don't know. I was trying to translate. I don't really know if you're
that was great. I was just trying to figure out where you were going with it.
I was working at Sly. Where are you checking in this week?
In the interest of disclosing things, I do have a pre-migraine headache, and I did forget, like I do every time, to turn my headphones down when the intro started. So my bass adjust was fully cranked, and I did have that go straight into my skull. So starting strong.
Really did like a full body factory reset with that. You Control-Alt-Deleted yourself real quick. And where are you on the Marvel scale this evening?
I am coming to Speak Now with enthusiasm and Marvel with apathy.
Work.
Amen.
Yeah.
Alexis, how are you this evening, my friend?
Well, I can't follow up any of those. Everybody's had like really good answers. I had approximately 2 crises and a breakdown in the last hour. I'm medicated. I just chugged my tart cherry juice before the show, and that was a mistake because I can still taste it in my mouth. We're here. I'm here today.
We're here. We're doing it. We're throwing the after party. Go team. Your hair looks very nice. Everyone's hair looks really slaying. Marissa's representing on the curls. Alexis is got this gorgeous pin straight. Sly's got this gorgeous curl. I've got one humidity induced curl. This is fully humidity, and everything else is giving Hermione Granger. So that's a really fun vibe that I am rocking this evening, along with my mosquito bite. So let's, on that note, talk about things we've been enjoying this week. Let's give a moment of positivity before we just come barreling down with some hot takes and hot opinions. Marissa, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I enjoyed communing with nature this week. I went outside a lot. I was out basically all weekend for the 4th of July. Went in lakes. I went on beaches. Me and the earth became one.
Marissa, are you a Skrull? Is this Skrull Marissa?
You know what? I think there were times that my family was questioning it because I famously do not like being in the lake because I don't want anything to touch me. I don't want to step on the squishy ground. I don't like it. And I initiated the group entering the lake water.
Wow.
So I can say I am not a Skrull, but I do think there were times where my family was questioning it this week.
Okay. We'll have to keep an eye on you throughout the episode. And if things get weird, I'm going to fly to Chicago. Can that be my excuse to fly to Chicago just to make sure Marissa's a human and not been replaced by an alien?
Hey, if that's what works, I'm a Skrull, baby.
I too have been in my outdoor cat era. I was outside the past 24 hours, like regularly, not like just one time. I don't mean I went outside one time, but that would also be something to celebrate in my world. No, I was, oh my God, this sunset's like beautiful. This is like the best. Live streaming. We got like a fucking great sunset. I got a cold Diet Coke, burning hatred. It's great. No, I was outside enjoying the sun. It rained here for 2 weeks and then it was sunny. And I was like, that's my cue to be an outdoor cat. So that was fun. And this is all I got was this lousy bug bite, which is great. And I've been enjoying basically not a lot. We finally finished The Mandalorian because we took a hard break on that for a minute. We finally started watching Wednesday because we didn't get around to that when the hype was real. And I've been enjoying that. It's like Harry Potter without the author. So
I haven't watched.
No,
I think you're the only one.
Do you have other things you've been enjoying this week, Marissa, other than being outside?
Oh, yes. I'm still watching The Bear. I'm almost finished with it. I have 2 episodes left. And the only other thing, because I spent so much time outside and off my phone, I was really disconnected for a few days. The only other thing really is the Red, White, and Royal Blue movie, which has flared up just general Red, White, and Royal Blue hype for me.
Yep.
And so maybe my AO3 searches have changed recently.
Who's to say?
And I might be taking a book off the shelf soon.
Wow. Round of talks in the chat for Marissa. This is the progress we like to see on Walt There, the after party, and the progress we will support. All right. Time for the other couple on stage to take the spotlight and tell us what they've been enjoying this week. And as usual, I'm sure it will be a wide range of sports, pop culture, and other related things that we have no idea about. So who would like to kick us off? Sly?
Yeah, I'll go. Y'all were commuting with nature and I was commuting with a 2-hour each way drive multiple times this week. And by that I went to see both open public days of the Seattle Kraken development camp. Wow. So I got to see all the babies. I am going to turn this into a show and tell. I know nobody else cares, but I had a great time, so I'm going to force you to enjoy it with me. I got to see Fitz. We love Fitz. That was very exciting. I also got to see... Oh no, where did it go? I had a picture of Alice and Bestie on here. Anyways. This is everybody. They're hanging out.
Lovely.
Having a blast. Great time. I am frantically re-uploading this picture of Alice and Bestie, so sorry for the stall here. But I also got this really horrible picture that you're looking at that and you're like, why did you take that? And I'll tell you why. Because during the break between the 2 periods, Nellie was just like trying desperately to annoy Shane Wright, and it was very fun. And Emerald City Hockey got a great video of it. However, I did save that one really shitty image just for posterity, so I would remember to look for a good video of that moment.
I love that. I love that.
Here's Alice and Bestie. I was like literally right next to the tables. It was great. I didn't get to chat with her, but I did get to chat with the broadcast team about their setup because it was in the practice facility. So like obviously it wasn't like the full like studio or whatever. And they have a TriCaster that was like maybe this big. It was so bitty. And I was like, oh my God, it's so tiny. And the board I trained on is like this huge, like full studio board. And they basically had a version of that was like broken into 3 parts. So it was like a bunch of like mini boards. It was so cool. I had a great time. I missed out on getting a really cool picture of Charlotte and Forcefial facing off, but I did get this right after, and that was very exciting. I had a great time. I think there you go. I enjoyed live hockey. It was fun.
I love show and tell. This is great. Go to hockey more often and bring back photos and videos and stories for us. I want to hear more about the TriCaster also off air, but that doesn't need to be a 2-hour conversation. That can be a
So after the scrimmage day, they did like a barbecue, hangout, whatever. The kids went around and were like signing things. So I got a bunch of autographs. Very fun. I just got to meet everybody. Shout out to Gautier for being the only one to introduce himself by his name and not assuming that people actually knew who he was. That was very fun. And then while I was there, one of my favorite things about being deaf is like just like being a part of a community that is so strong and such an instant connection wherever you go. And so I was just hanging out in some random park in Seattle. Some random person walked up to me and was like, "You deaf?" And I was like, "Yeah, are you deaf?" And then we just had a like giant conversation about like, you know, everything and nothing. And it was just really great. So that was fun, which was really funny because I did bring a book for this trip because I did drive up way too early because I wanted to miss Seattle traffic. And it was Give Me a Sign, which comes out next Tuesday. Very exciting. I don't know what's going on with Liz, but it's the story of a hard of hearing teen going back to a camp she attended as a junior counselor, and just like a great representation of a bunch of different facets of the community. And it's just like fun YA romance summer camp vibes. So if you're looking for a summer lake beach read, go pick up Give Me a Sign. It's so good. And it's coming out on the 11th. What else have I been enjoying? Oh, I'm still watching Schitt's Creek. I finished season 2. I think I'm 1 episode into season 3. I don't remember. But that's been an interesting journey because like 3/4 of the way through season 2, I was watching sober and I was like, I feel like I'm hate watching this, but I'm still enjoying it. So it's like not like hate watching, but it's more like antagonistically watching. And I can't wait for whenever it's supposed to get good according to Bucky. But
you've only got like 6 episodes left.
Perfect. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. In more hockey news, Alexis this week has been enjoying my running rants on free agency, which includes me correctly predicting a signing of one Kyler Yamamoto to the Seattle Kraken.
I saw this on your Instagram or something.
Woo, woo, woo. I am so jealous, but I'm so excited for you personally. Yeah.
What else have you been enjoying?
I have also been enjoying hockey wedding season, which is very important to me personally. It did come with one of the scariest pictures I've ever seen in my life. And quite frankly, it has been tattooed behind my eyelids since Sly showed it to me. I will not get over it ever. Hockey wedding season is great. And I think the NHL keeps complaining about its role in the American market. And honestly, I think televising hockey wedding season would change that for a lot of people because I am having a great time over here. If anybody else gets engaged this summer, you will need to check on me. Not anybody else. If a certain somebody else gets engaged this summer, you will need to check on me. Other than that, really enjoying hockey wedding season. I have also continued my Fringe rewatch, and I got to one of my favorite bits, I guess spoilers for a show that came out a decade ago that nobody watched at that time, so I doubt anybody's going to watch it now, but I got to the official like alt-verse segment of the show, which is my favorite part of the show because we get to compare people from one universe to another, and that's really exciting. And I also I kept hearing really great things about Zach Hyman's children's books. Not really great things. I kept hearing people say Zach Hyman writes children's books, and I was like, well, I must know. And when I say hearing people say, I mean I heard people say, and I read the phrase Zach Hyman writes children's books. And so I went and read all of them, and they were really great. So that was also fun. And
You mean the man who I will exclusively refer to as Jewish King Zach Hyman?
Yes, Jewish King Zach Hyman. Yes. Yeah, he writes children's books, which I learned in text before, and I thought it was just a thing. Like I thought it was just something somebody had made up, and then I heard it, and I heard it on actual commentary, and was like, oh no, that wasn't just like a character choice. Like Zach Hyman, the person, writes children's books. But yeah, they're really great, and I've also and I'm also enjoying being brunette. So that has been my week.
And that's all the context we're going to get on that note, that you're enjoying being brunette.
Yeah.
That's it. No further. No. There will be no explanation. There will only be reputation.
Yeah,
Her reputation confirmed. I love to hear it.
Never left.
Never left. I feel that. We do have some rants to give you this evening. However, we interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to have a very special conversation about Speak Now Taylor's version, which I'm very excited about. I'm even more excited because as we were starting the show, I didn't even know my partner left, but he got me not one, but 2 iced coffees since we did not have coffee supplies in the house.
A hero.
So I had to go thank him for that. And I now feel less ragey about Marvel, which might not be to the benefit of the viewers. However, I'm sure it will come back in a few minutes' time. Let's talk about Speak Now, Taylor's version, which dropped technically yesterday at midnight, but if you're me, it was at 1 a.m. And then if you're on the West Coast, it might have been Thursday technically, but it's come out very recently. We're very excited about it. And we have lots of thoughts and feelings about it. And I feel like, there's going to be a lot of conversation here. Do we want to just start each with like maybe just one thing that comes top of mind about Speak Now's Taylor version? Like just to introduce where you're coming into the conversation from to everybody watching. Like for me, I feel like I came home with this album. It was like coming home is what it felt like. To like they're like your favorite food's in the oven and it's like nice music's playing. Everyone's happy and there's like nothing happening that's maybe dramatic or political. It's just nice food to eat. It's warm or cold depending on the weather that you prefer in your house. Like ideal situation. That's what it felt like. Marissa?
Yeah, that's real. I have had only fond memories since listening to it.
24 hours ago, you've only had fond memories for the past.
Well, it was an iconic era in the life of Marissa. And I don't know, I've been like fondly reminiscing. Because I've said before that I wasn't really in the trenches for Speak Now. I was like a parallel. I was like riding in the sidecar as like my friends were driving through. But yeah, it just like the 2010 era has very many fond memories from Marissa. So it's been great. And I think I have much more appreciation for the album now. I was like big into the singles, but like, I don't know. I feel like I've had a new, fuller experience with it now.
Love that for you. We love that. That's so positive and wonderful. So where are you coming into this from?
Kind of the exact opposite. It feels like more of a welcoming in, because Speak Now had such a rabid following within like people who enjoy specifically within like Taylor Swift fandom, right? And it felt like I knew like most of the songs off of it just because I was the person who existed in 2010. But even, like, going back and, like, choosing to actively engage in Taylor Swift's music, it felt like like, the whole album I really enjoyed, but it felt like it wasn't for me. Like, I couldn't, like, claim that because I wasn't in the trenches, and this felt like, a reimagining of the album in a way that people now can actually engage with these songs a little bit more.
I love that. So it's a moment now. Sly is speaking now. It's really leaning into the now part of it all. How was that? Did we like that? Now I feel like it did not land.
Yeah.
It kind of did. Okay, I'll take it. I just want to side swipe into the combo happening in the comments here about Speak Now Stan's going harder than Stans of any other Taylor album, and JJ immediately claiming that as correct, and also some solidarity with what Sly is saying. Alexis, what about you?
I am apparently coming from a place on an island far, far away, distant from everybody else. I think re-listening, and I'll talk about it more when we get into the conversation, but I think listening to the re-release has really made me think about growing up, like how I have grown up, how Taylor has grown up, how her music has developed. So for me, this isn't so much of a like, I'm fondly remembering the bygone days, or like I'm being welcomed into this thing. It's just, it's a lot about growing up and change, I think, for me.
I'm on that island with you, Alexa. That's how it feels. Like there's so much nostalgia in this one. I feel like even if you're new, if you're feeling new in the moment, like there's still so much threaded nostalgia through the music and through the lyrics. And yeah, there's like a weird moment where we all realize we're old. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I am right there with you. I just think like this was the one time in my life where I like wasn't afraid to be cringe. So my memories of it aren't cringe. And so I'm really loving that. I'm like loving remembering those moments. But no, I feel like also because I'm like, this is no. Yeah. No.
In fact, sometimes I wish I spoke never. That's how I feel sometimes. I think back on the 2010s. And here I am live every Saturday night with y'all, speaking quite a bit. There's lots that we put in the notes about this. And I know I don't typically like to start with Alexis, but I want Alexis to know that both of the points that you have written down to discuss, I'm very excited to hear about. For the sake of not starting with you, I'm just going to chuck it right on over to Marissa. Marissa, why don't you pick one of your points and just dive in with us?
Okay. This is just a PSA. This is a public service announcement. Listen to Speak Now Taylor's version on Spotify without audio normalization. Turn your audio normalization off. It sounds entirely different without the audio normalization. It sounds like the original, like the production is there. It is not so much unchanged. It was Spotify's like weird techie smoothing that like fully changed the balance of half the songs. And I saw someone say like, turn off audio normalization, listen to it again. And I did. And I was like, oh, this is a totally different album. It's crazy. Not really in a positive or a negative way. I think they're both interesting, but like, listen to it the way they intended you to listen to it. I had no idea that audio normalization was even a thing that was happening. So that's my public service announcement. And yeah.
We love a PSA. My PSA, just to stay right on the train of that thought, I said all those words I don't feel in the right order, but that's fine, is to watch the music video, the new music video that dropped, if you haven't already, because I think that it's the correct visual for this moment in a way that, some of the past music videos Taylor's done, like in more recent years, have been like the meaning is in the Easter eggs. The meaning is in like the details, right? And sometimes the plot gets lost, which is fine. It's like a style of doing this. But she was so literal with this one that I was like, finally, a literal story about what is happening. Like I kind of needed it to be that plain for once and not like, hey, I'm sure there are 10,000 Easter eggs in this, but I didn't want to watch another video where I had to work hard to figure out what the fuck was going on. I just wanted a video that felt like a classic 2010s music video, and that's what it was. And there's lots of surprises in it, so I don't want to like spoil it if you have not seen it, but it's a lot easier on the mental math to watch this one than some of the previous music videos that she's done. So I just, you know, it's interesting thinking about like honoring the era. She kind of did in a weird way with the music video by like making it feel like classic 2010 music video culture when it was kind of at its peak of you still had MTV and Much Music and like video countdowns and video awards, versus today music videos have a little bit less relevance in music culture than they did back then. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add. Anyone else have a PSA they want to throw? No? Oh God, that my voice cracked. Sly, I would love to hear your thoughts on Electric Touch.
Okay, yeah, I know you weren't big on it, and I was trying very hard to not take that personally, but I absolutely adored Electric Touch. I knew I would be feral for it. I was, you know, I love Fall Out Boy so much, and it just feels so much like Folie à Deux, which makes sense because that's like the album that would have came out like before this was released, but it just like feels like such that like middle period of Fall Out Boy that it's just so like fresh but also nostalgic at the same time, and I just had such a great time with it. I'm a big fan.
I would like to give another PSA to clear the record that I did not dislike Electric Touch. I just thought I was very surprised by it. But
I would like to co-sign that PSA. It's grown on me a lot. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
And hearing you talk about, like, I didn't actually put it in the context of the 2010 Fall Out Boy era. I was thinking, like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I never thought about it that way until you just said it. Like, oh no, if she was trying to write a Fall Out Boy song that would have worked in 2010, that is what she would have written. Well,
yeah, go listen to a couple Folly songs and then listen to Electric Touch and you'll be like, oh, I see the vision.
Once again, I will say for the record that Sly should speak always. Alexis, I don't even know where you want to start, but I'm going to hand the floor right over to you.
I guess I'll start with my thoughts about the album as a whole, and then we can kind of move back to fun stuff. I feel like I'm going to be a big downer, but I listened to this album differently than I normally do. I was kind of by myself, and then I was at work, and I just felt really disconnected to it, and I didn't want to feel disconnected. Like that hadn't been my expectation, because I really loved the original, and so. Sly and I had a conversation about it, and they had great thoughts as they always do. And so I was like, okay, I'll go back and I'll re-listen. Right. And I was like, oh, well, I like it. Like it's good, but it was missing like kind of a gut punch song for me. And I felt like so much of her recent music, whether it be like the re-recording or like her new music, has had like a soul searing song that like was my song, right? There was like a would've, could've, should've, or like an All Too Well 10-minute version, or like a Mr. Perfectly Fine, or an Illicit Affairs, right? There was something that I grasped onto. And so I kind of walked away from it being like, well, I just kind of feeling uneasy about it. And there was a couple weeks ago on the tour where Taylor had said something like, this stuff happened when I was 19. Like I'm 32 now. I don't really care about it anymore. And at the time I was like, whoa, I don't know that I want to believe that, because I am still affected by stuff that happened to me when I was 16 or 17 or 18, right? That it's a domino effect that like shaped my life and my relationships and what I'm capable of now, and like my therapy sessions. So like, you can't come out, Taylor, and be like, I don't really care about it anymore. And so I kind of went back and was thinking about the album, and I was like, no, like, I think that's what it is. Like, I don't think my disconnect with the album is a negative reflection on the album. I think it's a positive reflection on the album, right? I think it's a testament to Taylor's ability to both explicitly and secretly, and openly and not so openly, and kind of in secret, but also, openly, vulnerably share her life experiences as they are happening, right? And so I think she's managed, and we've talked about this on the show before, but to create not only a song and an album that everybody can relate to, but a song and an album that everyone can relate to whenever and wherever they are, right? There's like, you're always going to be able to find that relatable piece because she's written everything. And so for me, kind of thinking about it, it was like, well, when this album came out and I was, 17, 18, just coming off of my Dear John relationship, I wanted to burn the world to the ground, right? Like, I have gotten out of this with enough sanity left to want to make you hurt and to cause you pain and for everybody to know about it. And now I don't want the matches. I can't light a candle to save my life. I'm terrible at birthday parties, right? But I do question my faith. I do wish I had what was taken from me. I do sit on those moments all the time, right? And so for me, it was like, wow, she's really grown up. So like the fact that I'm not connecting with the album now is a testament to how she has grown, not a testament to what the album is. And I just thought that was I guess her songwriting really stuck out to me in that way, since this is one of the older ones for her to redo.
I so agree with like so much of your observations on that. I think there were a few times, Dear John in particular, where I felt like I was missing that like rageful performance. But yeah, to your point, it's distanced now. Like, it's being performed from a place of reflection rather than like being in the moment. And I think that I've said before, I just said that I have a new appreciation for the album. And I think that that is part of it, that the way that storytelling can happen at any stage of your life. You can be telling a story that happened to you yesterday, and you can tell a story that happened to you 20 years ago, and you will feel differently about it, and you will deliver differently, but it will still be in conversation with whoever you're telling the story to. And I just think that's really cool and fun.
You guys are so smart. You guys are so smart and intelligent, and I love you so much. That's how I feel about all of this.
Drink your iced coffee, Elizabeth.
Drink my iced coffee? Oh, I am.
Yeah, stop complimenting us. Just drink your coffee.
Chugging a Diet Coke before this walked in the door, so I'm currently seeing in 4D.
You wouldn't want to forget your iced coffee and have it, for the rest of the week. That would be weird. We can't save the iced coffee. We need to drink it right now.
Right now.
This is only from 4 hours ago, so watch your tone.
I need to hear about the Southern Girlies connection.
Okay. All right. So I'm from the South, obviously. We've established this. And there are perhaps other albums. I think Debut, Taylor's accent is much stronger on. But when we were in the ramp up to Speak Now re-release era, where I was offended because most of the internet was asking if she was going to use a fake Southern accent when she sang it, right? Sang on this album. And I was like, I don't know that you can say that it's fake, right? I do not often use my accent now, but if I was going to, it wouldn't feel fake to me. It would just feel like I was talking to you, right? Because I can speak that way. I spoke that way for much of my life.
Oh, we can't just go on how you just did that. We can't just pretend that didn't happen. We're going to submit that clip for a Webby Award, and we're going to win. Anyway.
But when I was real little, my accent was so strong that nobody could understand me. And I, even young, like wanted to be in dance and theater. And so since I would say that my address, it was like 212 something Harmony Dirt Road. And I always said, it was 212 Harmony Dirt Road. And so they put me in speech therapy, and I like stayed in speech classes like through college, so that I didn't have an accent, so that like I could audition for things, right? And it's come back a little bit now. But I think what was so fascinating to me about the re-record was that there's not like a drawl to her words, but you can hear in some of her vowels, like with the rhythm of the song, that like that lit of the accent is still there. And to me, that is like peak woman with Southern accent who went to speech therapy and like is now doing an album. And I really appreciated that. It made me feel seen.
I also like wonder if re-recording an album from when she was 18 to 20, originally writing and singing those songs, if it would put her mentally back in those years, but also like physically, if it would be hard to sing those songs with today's voice, knowing that when like, and I'm sure debut is going to be the same way. Like, how is she going to sound in debut, and like how will it skew? Just because like, how hard would it be to sing a song that you wrote when you were 16 and you sounded a certain way? Wouldn't you just go right back into that physically?
Well, and I think, a lot of people are talking about like some of the spacing, like the pausing that had changed in the songs. And I think some of it is vocal growth, right? Like I think some of the like the slides on the O's instead of like a broken O is more like growth in her like singing ability. But I also think when you have an accent, all your words are different. So the spacing in the song is going to be different because your words are longer or shorter. And so to go back and try to sing like that rhythm in the same way that you did before is going to kind of draw that out a little bit, I think. Yeah.
I wonder sometimes like the internet is so loud about some things. And I was also seeing this conversation like everywhere about the accent coming out or not. And like, I wanted to start surveying like every tweet about the accent. Where is it coming from? Because people that live in areas with people that have accents and people that get rid of their accents through speech therapy or are able to like adjust their voice, I feel we're collectively understanding this, right? Like I have a Canadian accent. I have an accent that turns on the second I drive to my hometown. That's like just a little bit more like the dialect of where I'm from. And I probably sound like I'm like watching how I'm talking because I was just there and now I'm here and like I'm hearing it myself a little bit, right? But like I feel like it's people from metropolitan American areas that were like, no, like she's gonna put on a fake accent. And anyone that understands or has been around accents in their life is like, hello.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I spent 4 days with 15 other Michiganders, and the nasal resonance that was coming off of my family was crazy. Like hard Michigan accents.
It's almost really like code switching is a thing.
That is almost like that. Whoa.
Who'da thunk?
Who'da thunk? I'd like to say in terms of this comment, if by people you mean me, also true. And this is a good transition point, just to go back to Marvel and everything else we talk about on this show. I was skimming through last week's episode. I didn't have time to watch the full episode. I just finished Secret Invasion right before we started this show. So I had like 10 minutes to like, go through last week's episode and see what we talked about. But from what I did watch, there was many conversation points from last week's episode that as someone from Canada, I have now decided, not just because we have this show, but I have gaslit myself into believing that I'm incapable of watching Marvel content without American friends. Because some of the shit y'all were saying, I was like, oh, like Marissa's like, well, Nixon's not my favorite part of American history, but like I saw these like paintings on the wall and I knew immediately XYZ. And I was like, which one was Nixon?
Liz, who famously thought Ben Franklin was a president of the United States.
And you know what? If you were to ask me any day of the week, was Ben Franklin a president of the United States, I'd probably still say yes. Okay? I've learned nothing. So I don't know accents. I don't know American history. And I now think that that is two things that are required to get Secret Invasion right, because it involves accents, picking scrolls out of a crowd, potentially or not, and knowing American history, which I do not.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I have gaslit myself into believing that I cannot understand hockey unless I also communicate with you about weird smoothie recipes and like.
Would you like to share that story? Because that was truly like the highlight of all highlights. Like that was the greatest text I've ever received from you.
I didn't even remember what I said.
Okay, to set the scene, I was having a rough morning at work, just like trying to get my head into things. And my phone buzzes as it usually does. And I see it's Alexis. And I think I was in the middle of something. And I like saw it and was like, okay, I'll come back to that. And then it was like, wait, what did Alexis say? And I looked again. And it was something like, I need to know if this smoothie recipe is like a Canadian thing. And it was like kiwi, avocado, like carrot. I was like, I can confirm none of those things are specifically Canadian. Can I ask why? And I got the most beautiful novel about hockey players and smoothies.
Yeah, I ended up on Hockey Smoothie Talk, which was a great place until Mitch Marner entered. And it was also the only time that I have correctly identified him. I confuse him with any other brunette that plays hockey all like on a daily basis. But I tried it and it was awful. And then I was like, well, maybe I am not being culturally kind. Like maybe this is a Canadian delicacy and I am
gross kiwi avocado carrot smoothie.
That one guy slurps maple syrup out of like a ketchup packet. I didn't think that was a thing either.
I don't condone PSA. I don't condone slurping maple syrup out of packets.
As a Michigander, I do condone that. Absolutely.
He does. He like has somebody rip the top off, and then he just like it's a Go-Gurt. Like he just like slurps it. And
as 100% pure maple syrup. Do whatever you want with it.
I thought maple syrup only came in like glass bottle. Anyway, let's move on.
Sly, do you want to add anything to this before we start ranting?
Sly looks like they're about to divorce me.
Well, back to the conversation at hand. Speak now, Taylor's version. I will say I'm probably gonna get hate for this one because it seems to be everybody's favorite song. I could not stand the production on I Can See You at all. There was obnoxious buzzing in the background the whole time. Could not stand it. Enchanted was perfect and incredible and everything I wanted to be, and that was great for me personally. And I had strong feelings about Better Than Revenge, but I'm not going to share them because I don't want to encroach on Marissa's rant.
Well, allow Marissa to rant and we shall revisit the topic. The production was buzzy on there was a few songs, not that I could name any of them right now, but in my car I actually noticed the production had like some weird frequency shit going on that was like making it hard to listen in my car, which is like, that's my sacred place to listening to music. So I was like, what? Nope, not dealing with that. So I stand with you on that point, Sly. Okay, let's get into it.
Become a CD person again. I bought the Till Dawn Midnight CD at the Eras Tour, and Liz and I played it all weekend long. And now I play it in my car all the time. And like, I'm about to become a CDs person because I didn't know that audio normalization was even a thing, and now I don't trust the production of any song I've ever heard.
I don't miss a lot about this car, but my first car had a 6 CD changer in the like console, and I miss that so much.
Yeah.
So what I vote is that we do, instead of like a traveling pants situation, we get one of those CD cases and we all put CDs in it and send it to Marissa for Marissa's car. What do you say?
Am I the only one with a CD player in my car?
I think it needs to be a mix. Like I'm putting together the mix that I can.
We're gonna bring back mixtapes.
Burn on a CD and send to Marissa.
Yeah.
It would just be like weird audio dramas in between, like
oh my god,
songs.
It's like Superman And then it's like Alexis' voice being like part 1 of the story of the murder on like this street. And then it's like hours. And then it's like part 2 of the murder on this street. And then it's like 3 songs that are like, 1 is from musical theater, 1 is Taylor Swift from another album, 3 are just like any other Taylor Swift song. And then it's like part 1 of a different crime story to throw you off of thinking you were going to go back to the first one. That's my dream mixtape from you.
I was thinking. Go ahead.
Alexis throws a single song from Wicked that she's never heard onto the CD, and it's like 0-year-old shiz or something.
I was thinking Taylor Swift Googled Wicked, and then the clips from that Torchwood audio drama where John Barrowman does all the voices.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And then like clips from our show that you thought were funny with no other context.
So I was driving, and I can't text right now, so you're getting a voice memo?
Everyone in the comments is going to be able to contribute to this as well, I think. If we're going this hard with it, everyone can submit a CD. You can send a voice message to Alexis. Alexis will burn it onto the CD. We'll also have like random listeners calling into Marissa's car.
Alexa will message Sly to try to figure out how to burn.
I was going to say, raise your hand if you've ever burned a CD before.
Okay, I've burned a CD. I'm old. It was the voice memo that threw me.
Alexis has millennial skill sets. This we have to remember, okay? You're only allowed to do this, Alexis, if you also take every colored Sharpie in your house. Like, you know, when you would burn a CD as a kid and you would like try and do a CD
all
cover
different
yourself.
colored letters.
Yeah. We need like Alexis's mixtape, and every single one of those. Beautiful. I'm so glad you had that in the vicinity. Okay, it's time to rant. We're already at hour 1 of the show, but you know what? We hate Marvel.
What else is there to talk about, Liz? Let's spend more time on Speak Now.
Okay. Usually we do how I would interview segment for my rant. However, I have been so moved derogatory by Secret Invasion that I have a rant that I am doing tonight called appliances Marvel can beef with that are not refrigerators. Because I'm sick of Marvel pulling out the refrigerator every goddamn time I watch. Marissa?
This is not a rage-filled rant. I'm just going to speak at you about Better Than Revenge, Taylor's version.
Okay. Slide.
I just want to run through a couple options for my rant this week that you're not getting. One was going to be the baby squid you need to look out for. Nobody cares about the baby kraken other than me, so you're welcome. One of them was going to be forcing Alexis to play a fun new game called Name That Kraken, where I list a bunch of hockey players and she has to say if they're a Kraken player or not. And then I was thinking
that needs to be next week.
And then I wanted to do an assigning my co-hosts, insert thing here rant. So thanks to Alexis, my rant this week is assigning my co-hosts a Washington-based sports team to root for.
I cannot wait to find out what my Washington sport bias is. I will immediately become a stan.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis, what are you ranting about?
My rant, as always, requires backstory.
Set the theme.
Okay, so the premise is that Taylor Swift Eras Tour style friendship bracelets should come to the NHL. And this has caused quite the division on social media where the hockey girlies asterisk are promoting this, and they're really excited about it. And they are pushing for people to make and bring friendship bracelets to the NHL games that they attend this upcoming season to trade. And then the hockey girlies derogatory are trying to strike that down. And they are striking it down with the argument that if we bring and share friendship bracelets, men that enjoy hockey will take us less seriously than they already do. Of course, for that argument to be valid, it would require the NHL or men that watch hockey to be serious. So my rant is going to be a bunch of things that are not serious about the NHL and men that watch hockey.
Didn't realize I was muted. That's genius. This is going to be a genius rant from Alexis yet again. Alexis, who regularly, I feel, does not know if her rant will be good, comes in with the most advanced rant one could possibly dream of, and it always slays. So I am thrilled. I cannot wait. This is kind of the rant of my dreams, I think. Are we ready to start? Okay. Let's do it. Okay. I'm sick and tired of Marvel coming into shows, giving us a beautiful cast, promoting a lot of women, and then just refrigerating them constantly. I can't take it anymore. So I thought, well, if you can't fix the situation, maybe propose some solutions. So instead of beefing with refrigerators, I would like Marvel to instead throw hands at washing machines that sing very long songs and dryers that make no sounds.
So on Speak Now, Taylor's version, Taylor Swift has re-recorded and altered her song Better Than Revenge. There is a new lyric in the chorus. Instead of better known for the things that she does on the mattress, it is he was the moth to the flame, she was holding the matches. And that's all well and good. That's fine. I am not here to tell Taylor Swift that she cannot change the songs that she wrote to record so that she can own it the way she wants. However, I have opinions.
All right. So the reason I'm doing this is because I love Washington. I really like it here. It's a great place. It's probably my favorite place in the world. And this is my effort to force my co-hosts here to be invested in Washington so that I can trick everyone into caring about Washington and maybe moving here so I am no longer sad and alone in the middle of nowhere, Washington.
Okay, the first most unserious thing about the NHL for me is that they put men in charge of talking about it. I find it fascinating that this professional organization looked at a sport where grown-ass men skate around on knife shoes on a frozen pond with sticks, pushing a drink coaster around and occasionally punching each other in the face. And they said, how do we make this sport special? Well, what we do is we make the following things just as important.
So washing machines that sing a long song when they're done, I'm good with. But when they're paired with a dryer that cannot be programmed to make any sounds, I don't remember I'm doing laundry. And whose fault is that? Not mine. So Marvel, take it up with the washing machines. Second, deep freezers that are tall and skinny. My arms are short and now they're cold. Marvel, throw hands at skinny, tall deep freezers. I like a long, not as tall deep freeze.
Okay, here's the thing about he was a moth to the flame, she was holding the matches. We talked about it a lot on our live listen 2 days ago, but it does center the man instead of the girl, which I think I'm okay with because the intention of the song to begin with is very problematic. And like, maybe we can accept that it's the man's fault and not the innocent girl who he happens to be dating. But the problem is that it's just, the lyric is too smart. It's just too advanced.
Okay, so my pick for Liz, I feel is kind of a cop-out because I know Liz enjoys and watches soccer, and so this is a very easy pick, but it is the OL Reign, and that's just because they're fun and gay and cool, and they all go to the queer barbershop in Tacoma apparently, and that's just fun. And I mean, you have Quinn, openly non-binary player, that's really cool, and apparently Megan Rapinoe is retiring, which was announced today, so yay, go Seabirds.
They said the way that we make this sport special is that we make narrative, relationships, and chemistry just as important as the technical aspect of the sport. They said it's going to be just as important for you to understand the narrative and the story between these teams and these players and these coaches and their fans as it is the technical aspect. And then they said, who should talk about narrative, relationships, and chemistry? Men. What sense does that make? You want me to care about exchanging friendship bracelets?
Marvel, I would like you to let the refrigerators have a moment of rest and instead get mad at microwaves that when you click the number, it automatically starts for that number of minutes instead of allowing me to just say 45 seconds. I don't want to microwave shit for 4 minutes. Stop assuming that. And I don't know how to reprogram it. And that's Marvel's fight to have for me. Next, toasters that don't have defrost settings, gluten-free breads have to stay frozen. That is offensive to my culture.
So this is the problem. And this is, JJ is exactly right. Speak Now, no, that's, yes. Speak Now is a glitter pen album. That's what I'm trying to say. He Was a Moth to the Flame, She Was Holding the Matches is a fountain pen lyric. It just doesn't match. It's too evolved. It's too advanced. It's a beautiful lyric, rhythmically, rhyme scheme wise, it works, but it takes me out of my like teeny bopper head banging.
Right. So originally for Marissa, I was gonna give her the Sea Dragons, which is the Dwayne The Rock Johnson owned XFL team we have here. But in looking up the Seattle Sea Dragons, I discovered we have the Seattle Orcas, which is a professional cricket team that I've never heard of, and their logo is so cute. It's an orca holding a cricket bat with a little crown, and just everything about it just screamed to Marissa, so I had to give it to you.
The rest of that rant is its own rant. So I'm moving on to the next one. The next unserious thing about hockey to me is all of these rookies answering the question, what is your favorite Taylor Swift song, with love story? As if they are all in love with somebody across the battle lines in Alberta. Like, what size 2 blonde, former model, current interior designer are you going to take home to your parents that they're not going to agree with? If I had a nickel for every time there was a brunette NHL wax.
Next, Marvel, I would like you to fight all panini presses not from Home Depot. Next, Marvel, I would like you to fight air conditioners that are as loud as airplanes. They need to shut up, and you are great at shutting up characters that you do not want to see more of. Next, Marvel, I would like you to fight the person that made the decision that appliances should be neutral colors and not these pieces of genius that used to exist. Fight that person. Secret Invasion Fridge Edition about literal fridges and not refrigerating people.
So basically that's my whole problem with Better Than Revenge, Taylor's version. I'm happy with the lyric change, except for the fact that it's too smart to be on Speak Now. It sounds like 32-year-old Taylor wrote it and not 19-year-old Taylor, but I guess that's sort of the point. I really enjoy the production of the song. It's one of my favorites on the album. And if I was smart and had planned this ahead of time, I would have given you alt versions of the lyric, but I didn't think of any. So, slay.
All right, for Alexis, we have the Seattle Thunderbirds, which is the WHL hockey team. And I mostly picked this because the future Panther who was born in Edmonton plays on this team currently? Maybe. But the most important part about this team is that they aren't in Seattle. They play in Kent, which is really important because Alexis is afraid of Seattle, even though all of the Colts are in Yelm, not Seattle. So I don't know why you have beef with the city.
I appreciate that. What was I saying? I was so touched that I forgot. I would only have 2 nickels. And it's weird that it's only happened twice. It's weird that I would only have 10 cents in brunette. I also think it's very unserious that Biz is commentating. I think that is the thing that we should talk about. I think it's unserious that we have a bunch of mascots that just look like giant ass Muppets. I'm looking at Gritty. I'm looking at that weird sea troll in Seattle. I don't get it.
Fuck you.
I would say I so appreciate being given the orcas. I stand with the orcas. Take down the yachts.
Wow. So I really nailed it with all of those choices. Alexis really nailed it with every explanation you gave. I was like, absolutely correct. Women could do this so much better. Absolutely correct. Like everything correct. Marissa, correct, except Sly convinced me the line is worth keeping, so I must disagree.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not worth keeping. I'm just saying it's jarring.
It is jarring. It is jarring.
But I've listened to the song like 3 times now.
The visual imagery is iconic.
It is. Would you like to share
potential?
Sly, are you willing to share the visual imagery with the class, or at least explain why it's so much better in context?
Yes, I will do that as long as I can force one of you to sing it for me.
What part? What
the line?
Just the line change.
He was a moth to the flames.
Oh,
hold on, slow down.
I'm singing the song.
Okay, but you're gonna sing it, and Sly's gonna do the line with you. So you can't just speed through it at your own pace.
He was a moth to the flame. He was holding the matches.
Whoa.
It's so cool. It's so good. Around the tacos supply and Marissa. Both of them, please.
Thank you for joining me on that journey. But yeah, no, when I heard that line, I like instantly like saw how I would translate it into ASL, and I was just like so obsessed with that imagery. So
cool. So cool.
I ended up listening to that song with a bunch of people who would not be offended if they were categorized by what they did on mattresses, and were therefore very offended that the song changed. That was my listening experience.
Valid. Before we jump into the next thing, I did have 2 more appliances that I would like Marvel to fight. If I could just take a moment of airtime to voice them,
please, let's extend our rants.
Do we have more? We can keep going. Let's all finish our rants. I would like Marvel to fight my dishwasher because it only works when you put it on heavy, and that means it runs longer. And I think that that's silly, goofy behavior. So if Bucky would like to come punch my dishwasher, that would be excellent. It's already got a dent, so just an iron hand punch into it I don't think can make it any worse. And Marvel, I would like you to fight the slow cooker that caused the house fire in This Is Us. Jack deserved better.
I did not expect that trauma tonight, but you're so right for that.
that is an appliance worth fighting. That is not a refrigerator.
Can we just hard pivot this rant section into discussing this sentence that just appeared in our comments?
There was a stream of tacos, and now apparently we've evolved from tacos into burritos.
I think, do we accept
it an evolution? I don't feel that it's as the person who accidentally invented the taco clap. I don't feel it's an evolution. I feel it's a reason not to move to certain parts of Canada.
Oh,
wow! I will say, I'm going to argue for Alexis against Alexis's point, because Alexis and I both have a habit of eating taco ingredients in a burrito shape. So for people who have fucked up wrists, we are pro burrito over taco.
I would also say, wouldn't a burrito just be the optimized version of the taco if the burrito was warmed in the panini press from Home Depot?
Panini press? Why are we in a panini? What? Burritos go in panini press?
No, it's not a panini press.
Oh, the tortilla warmer. Tortilla warmer.
I was
imagining a taco in a George Foreman, and I was very confused.
Shout out to George Foreman's. Like, that is, if you have anybody you know going into a college dorm, get them a fucking George Foreman. That thing saved my life.
That's the PSA we needed tonight.
We love tabletop cookware. Yes.
I made everything on George Foreman. Like, anything you can imagine.
Stick with you for life, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, let's leave the burritos and panini presses and taco shell warmers, taco burrito, all of those things that my brain currently cannot separate. And let's fight Kevin Feige live on air. What do you say? Shall we come together in a good old...
Ready to go.
Let's do it. This is your spoiler warning for Secret Invasion episode 3. However, I think you're about to witness a very interactive conversation based on our thoughts and sometimes my lack of thoughts. So feel free to stick around if you don't mind being spoiled. If you do, then head out and come on back after you watch episode 3.
I have to revisit the George Foreman conversation. My college dorm rule was nothing with an open flame. They don't have open flames. Like the hot pad warmers were accepted, George Foreman's were accepted. So I'm sorry you went to a dorm that had bad rules, but mine was perfectly acceptable.
We were technically not allowed appliances in our dorm. So Marvel, you can also fight people that write the policy that you're not allowed appliances in dorms.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Secret Invasion, but it's everyone sneaking panini presses into their dorm room so they can make hot sandwiches before class.
Real.
Yeah, I snuck a fish and a Christmas tree into my dorm room.
I love that so much. Okay. We're We're getting sidetracked. Tonight is about fighting Kevin Feige once again. Or at least I am going to. Shall we start with a rowdy recap? Would we like to do that?
Oh, fuck. I forgot we do that.
Yeah, me too. And I can tell you, I took less notes than I have fingers on my hand. So I really have nothing to go off of. So I simply refuse to start. Who would like to?
Why am I the only one who's ever prepared for this segment?
Okay. Oh, I can start because then I don't have to finish because I remember what happened at the beginning of the episode and that's about it.
So we're going to go Marissa, Sly, Alexis, Liz. Are we doing 30 seconds each? What are we doing?
Ish.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Okay, Marissa, kick us off.
Okay, the episode started and I had a headache, so that was important for me to write in my notes. Then we get Graphic laying out his entire master plan to the council. He's going to make things go boom and create the extinction of all human beings, which seems a little bold. Then we go back to Fury's house and his Skrull wife is there. And then there's also a flashback to when they met previously in like 1998 or something.
Okay, but it wasn't her because the 98 flashback was Vara, who was the wife, it was important to note that I thought was hot, apparently, blackmailing Dreykov. And then when we come back and we're in Fury's house, they call her Scylla, and I was so confused. That was very important. And she has a great moment where she's like, I grieved for you, and then you ran away, and just like really airing out all of their marital problems off the bat.
I know I'm supposed to start talking, but I have no clue where we are at.
We're at museum.
By a fridge. Oh, then we went to the museum and we were shouting in the museum, which I thought was a choice. And then all of the people became Gravics. And then we did the Vulcan salute to like meld our fingers back together, extremist style. That was important. And I'm really not helping you out, Liz, but I swear to God, I can't remember what's going on.
I remember
the phone handoff.
I remember literally nothing, but I have 30 seconds. So instead I'm going to say there wasn't enough Olivia Colman in this episode. It did not work as an audio drama. Anyone? Okay, that's all I got.
There was a submarine or a missile or something.
Oh, there was a missile
towards something, but then they stopped it because there really weren't any stakes in the episode, and then Gaia was murdered.
And the whole point, the whole point was to get Fury and Talos to beef and then come back together to prove why they're a good team, and basically say all of their history out loud so we would understand that they're a team.
Yeah.
Okay, we did it. Oh, hooray. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, before we get into all of what happened in that episode, I want to do a quick vibe check. Okay, we're 3 episodes into Secret Invasion, and this is the point in time in which we start knowing where we're going to land with this one. So,
do we?
That's what I'm going to say. I feel like 3 episodes in, like, we personally know where we're going to land in our opinion of the series. Like, by this point, we've watched almost 3 hours of this story, and we know how we're feeling about it. If we're enjoying it, if we're not enjoying it, if it's a show for us, if it's not a show for us. My vibe check is that, at least with Moonlight, we had Khonshu to come back to as our, we had moments. I'm also, it's bad when you're excited for Loki to come back. And that's how I'm a little bit checked out. It's getting harder and harder for me to watch. I also need to stop trying to watch it during broad daylight because this show is so visually happening in the dark that I miss things. So
I'm go next.
Yeah, I'm 2 Alpines, no accessories is where I'm at. Okay. Sly, where are you vibe checking in?
On that note, I feel like I can't care about any character that they introduce ever because I literally wrote in my notes about how much I wanted to know everything about Vara and then immediately put in brackets, I'm going to regret that. No way in hell they'll let a badass black woman live. And that's my problem with the show is I can't care about a single character they introduce because I feel like they're going to get refrigerated. And that's not how you build investment in your story. Like, if people are apathetic towards your show, they're not going to continue watching. Like, if I didn't have to continue watching the show to talk about it live on air, like, the end of this episode, I would have been done. Like, I was like, you set up this show as being Gaia's show. And that's who we were following, and that's who we're invested in. And as soon as you lose that, you lost all of my goodwill and investment in this project.
Yeah, they lost me. I really wanted to like this show. I really enjoyed how it started, and I don't get it at this point. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't understand the story they're telling. And like, I get it from like a narrative perspective of why they're killing off these characters, but I don't get it because it's so basic. Like, Maria Hill shocked me. That like was like an adrenaline rush. I was like, oh, this is entertainment. Even if I like don't like the choice, this is like what watching TV is supposed to feel like. This time was just like, well, why are you doing that? This is just a literal waste.
The whole like trying to get the code from frickin' Bob scene. They were pulling out every stop in the book to try to build suspense throughout that whole sequence.
Did not care.
And none of it hit.
No,
absolutely
I could not have given less of a shit.
Exactly. Alexis, where are you coming in on this?
Pretty much the same spot. Though right now I am feeling vindicated because I thought I just wasn't getting it. But it doesn't seem like anybody is getting it. So that makes me feel like I'm not lost. And instead Marvel's doing a bad job. I think one of the big things for me is there are parts of each episode that I'm like, oh, that, like, I really like that. But that is never the part of the episode that they focus on. Like, Fury and his wife in this episode, like, I was like, I would have loved to see this sprinkled through the last 10 years of the MCU, to have her show up somewhere. So I had like some pool in this relationship previously because that actress was killing it. Like that conversation had really good stakes for me. Like, I was invested in that. The flashback, like, I would have lived in that flashback. But that, like, the episode was then like, none of this was really relevant. Like, we were instead like, this other stuff is the stuff that we're going to focus on. And I'm not invested in the other stuff. And I think part of it, somebody in the summary said, in the Rowdy recap, said like, we have to know that they work well as a team or something. And it's so fascinating to me because I know that's what Marvel wants me to think. But I don't buy that relationship. Like, sometimes I really buy it, right? Like, when he came back and they did like the reconnected, culturally appropriated forehead moment and like breathed each other's souls in. I was like, okay, I'm going to be invested in this relationship, right? But like this episode, I'm like, I don't buy it. Like, I don't buy that you were close friends. I don't buy, really that like anything is going to come out of this upset. Like, I can't, I'm not invested in it. And it seems like the show is kind of hinging on my investment in that relationship. And I just don't care.
I think the hard part is that they're all characters that we know nothing about. And it seems like the writers know nothing about either. And they didn't really bother to define that even for themselves. Like, I think the dialogue is really, really, really well written. And I think it's primarily really well performed. I think like the one-on-one scenes, especially opposite Samuel L. Jackson, sort of wherever he is, are really enjoyable to watch. But outside of the context of those conversations, like, I don't feel anything for the characters. I don't really feel anything for the stakes of the story. I'm just like, wow, this is a really well written and performed scene, not like I'm invested in this TV show.
It's a great collection of monologues.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could pull so many different monologues to just do, like, a one scene or an audition with, but, like, the story isn't
It's
there.
not working. One thing that, having just finished The Mandalorian season 3, which by far is not the best season of The Mandalorian and has many plot-related problems, and it's not a great season by any stretch.
Yeah.
But one thing that show, and I would say Boba Fett's the same, like a lot of the Star Wars shows have done really effectively, is knowing when to pause and when to play the subplots. Like there were entire episodes of The Mandalorian where you're not with the Mandalorian and Grogu and that like A cast, and we are entirely in the B plot so that the next beat of the main story hits. And it's like, wow, you're going to dedicate multiple entire episodes to doing world building and context building in a really fun, dedicated way that makes me invested in the stakes of the B plot rather than trying to like interweave it in while also giving Pedro Pascal screen time. And Marvel is just like, we're going to introduce you to every single character you need to know right now. And we're going to make you keep track of all of their things and not give anyone enough screen time for any of it to matter. And then when we kill someone, we hope it hits. And it's like, if the entire first episode of Secret Invasion did not have Nick Fury in it, and it was about the Skrulls and them escaping their persecution and landing on Earth and like the history of all this that we have not seen, and you see Gaia growing up in this culture, like, and then they introduce Nick Fury and the current day stakes in episode 2, I feel like I'd have a different reaction to what we're watching. And that's not even.
You could do like a whole like. I love a nonlinear story, but have episode 1 start with Talos calling everybody to Earth after the snap. Like start there, tell that, go back to, you know, before or after Captain Marvel. Give us like a history of the Skrulls. Make us care about these characters. And honestly, make us able to identify them
literally
in any way possible.
Or you know what? You know what else would have been interesting? If they had started by feeding us a plot point and then going back. Like if they had started by showing us Emilia Clarke dying, and then we say, oh shit, like what happened that she got to that point? And then they go back and start the story again to kind of say like you can only be invested in her so far as she's not sticking around. So we know as of 3 episodes in. Like that would have been interesting to me.
I think they're really missing the part where the audience is in on something that the characters don't know. Like the audience is gathering information at the same time as the characters are, which isn't very interesting. Like I would have loved to know how long the Skrulls had been on Earth before Nick Fury found out. Or I would have loved to know, like, I don't know, that Nick Fury's wife was a Skrull before he did. Or like something that we aren't learning at the same time as the characters, because otherwise there's nothing to watch for other than like you hope to be invested in the characters you're watching, which we're not.
Well said. Well said. In the comments are agreeing. Where's the dramatic irony? Yep. Let's pause on the plot and everything that's going wrong with Secret Invasion and just have a fun. There's always things we can toast to on this show. So let's do a little hydration check. How many liquids we got in front of us tonight, folks? I have 6.
I have a dwindling 3.
Alexis is at 3. Sly, how many liquids you got tonight?
I'm holding strong and true with the emotional support water bottle.
Amen. Got mine. Actually, I have both of the emotional support water bottles this evening, so we're well rounded. Cheers! Cheers to not enjoying a show, but enjoying spending time talking about the show with all of you. Cheers!
Cheers.
I think this is gonna be my final sip of coffee.
Ooh, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to start with their toast?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to toast to androids and the very obvious Samsung product placement in this series. And like, there was a point where, okay, so Nick Fury's wife is very obviously a baddie, and has been the whole time. But there was a point where they did like a zoom, like hold shot on her little pink flip phone Samsung.
Samsung Flip.
And my immediate reaction was like, we're really leaning into this villains don't get iPhones thing. Mm-hmm. But then everybody in the episode has an Android. And I was like, well, I guess we're just making an investment in like Samsung now. So cheers to Androids.
All right.
I love the Samsung Flip as a character choice every single time. I think it's like, that's like the one phone where if I see it, I'm like, oh, I get what you're trying to do with this character. And I feel that way about no other phone ever.
That is actually such a valid point. I think that cell phones in media have not had their full moment of being realized. Like, the peak of cell phone culture was Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to immediately park that entire train of thought. I'll just sit here in silence and think about it. Sly, what's your toast for this evening?
My toast is to museum meetings, even though I know everybody else hated that moment. I enjoyed it greatly. I thought it was so fun. I love going into a place where like conversations are usually so hyper specific, and having like a completely different conversation, that's just so fun to me. I love the like incongruity of it. So I was really digging Gravik, really tried his best to analyze historical paintings and spew his agenda at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I'll take it. Camp. There's a little bit of camp happening in that bit. Yeah. Alexis, what about you?
I am toasting to the owl and the bug and the owl. I know that I am the only person on this screen right now that watched the original Staircase documentary. But if you are familiar, you know that a live owl was very important. And people wanted to claim that this man did not his wife. So the internet came up with really elaborate conspiracy theories that involved this owl, like shoving a woman down the stairs. And when the owl with the bug recurred in this episode and it got a cute little eye patch, I felt like that was the show for me and me alone.
In our last episode, I specifically mentioned the owl and the bug coming back.
You did, and I that is my toast. I loved it. So.
That's incredible. So good. I would like to toast to the 2 Taylor references that I immediately found in the first act of the episode. So I'm trying to find it in my notes here. One was Nick Fury saying, I was never much for golf, so I was thinking of taking up revenge. And in my head, he said that, and I heard the and now I need someone to edit.
I'm sorry.
What sound does the guitar make? Would you like to
what did you hear? We can't just fly past. That was fabulous.
Yeah, that whole thing. I heard it very clear. So I need someone to go edit like that line into the start of Better Than Revenge, because that's now the only way I want to hear that song. And then immediately after, someone said I'd Lie, which is also a Taylor Swift song. So I was like, hey, everyone's celebrating Speak Now. Everyone's celebrating Taylor Swift. Look at that. And that was the most joy I got from this episode. Cheers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's do our what the fuck moments of the week. I would like to start just to get things rolling. We keep going around the circle. My what the fuck moment was in the car sequence when Talos is saying he doesn't understand dogs. But that was like 0.2 seconds after the entire conversation around humans always starting wars and wanting dominance over each other. And then Talos saying, I don't understand why humans like dogs. The answer's right in front of you. It's a dominance thing, Talos. Like you got all of human history evolving around this idea that man cannot have peace and must conquer, and you don't understand dogs. So I don't know if that was meant to be a joke or meant to be a reference or just like a really poorly placed Skrulls don't understand humans thing.
In Talos's defense, I think he understands the concept of owning another species. I don't think he understands the like admiration part of it. Mm-hmm. The like, oh, you want to be the owner of this thing while also like providing it affection. Because you know his thing is about like, and you want to wipe their ass. I'm like,
that's a valid interpretation. It was not the one that I had. I was very like,
so fair.
This show is so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marissa, what was your moment of the week?
Fingers. Why is it always fingers? Why is it always hands?
Do you have an answer to this? Why?
Why is it always something gruesome happening with
Why
hands?
would I have an answer to that?
It just feels like something you might have an answer to.
I was fine with the knife in the hand. It was the pulling the hand through.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, that
was not okay with me.
I mean, I guess fingers are like teeth, so like we're gonna. Sorry.
Okay.
When it comes to torture, fingers are like teeth, right?
I get it.
Yeah, but I didn't like that.
No, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It made me say, what the fuck? So that's why it's on my list.
Fingers are like, I have a lot to think about. And my brain just went 20 different directions with fingers are like teeth in terms of torture. And I get it.
I'm
with you. I never put it together before. It unlocked something in my brain. I'm like, that's
relatively expendable, but still necessary.
Like, we'll get you talking.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, there's more.
Sly, I don't know what Sly's face is, but it's making me feel
my face is me trying so hard to not make a reference that literally only JJ will understand about the importance of hands and their utility and how people may or may not destroy them to control other people. And I'm trying really hard to not have that conversation because none of you will follow, but I know JJ will get what series I'm referencing immediately.
Got it. Okay. Sly, what was your what the fuck moment of the week?
Besides the obvious, my WTF moment was the timeline of this show, where in the middle of the episode they say a couple hours ago, referencing the previous episode, and then at the end of the episode we have a big important thing happening in 1 hour, which is like all well and good if you're designing this to be a bingeable experience and makes sense if you're releasing it as like a mini series of like 6 episodes. However, when you're releasing week to week, that just doesn't work. It doesn't land. Yes. I was so confused. Like, at least make it a couple days or something. Do not have like literal hours from week to week between your episodes.
Talos and Fury were like carrying on a fight from the last episode, and I was like, what fight? I don't remember there ever being a fight. Where are you in a fight?
And that's the thing, like, they want us to think that they're like a good team or whatever, but we only ever see them like bickering, and like we don't see any of the between where they're actually getting along, and we're just supposed to infer that they do more than just bicker.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And Alexis.
Okay, mine was the museum conversation, but it was not the museum conversation because they were talking about something that they weren't there to talk about. I didn't mind that. To me, this was two people that like kind of didn't want to be seen with each other. Like I think it was kind of okay, but it wasn't really. Like, we were supposed to believe that this was kind of a clandestine thing. I don't think it actually was, but that is what I felt like they were supposed to sell me on. So it was very annoying to me that you would go to a place where you were historically not supposed to speak loudly and speak very loudly as if nobody would remember that you were there, because later, if people are like, well, were you ever seen with so-and-so? I'd be like, yeah, they were being really rude and talking really loud in the museum. I remember exactly who they are. So that was offensive to me personally. But no, I thought the painting stuff was fine. And honestly, I think museums are a great place for a dead drop. I just didn't like the way they handled it. And quite frankly, I don't really like them. And I really like museums. So it was kind of annoying to me that the only time I'm going to get anything close to an art heist in an MCU movie was these two idiots that I don't like standing in a museum.
I mean, there is the Black Panther museum heist.
There is that one. That one was good. So, yes, with the drinks and that was.
It has ruined every use of museums in the MCU for me. I did not enjoy the Moonlight Museum stuff that was happening. Also, because I couldn't watch it because it always had strobe lights with it. This museum moment, I was like, Black Panther's museum moment was much better. I'm going to enjoy that more.
I think where I don't know, at some point, the MCU had a lot of museums that were all the same but all different, and I was really confused as to like which museum, because there's a museum in the Eternals too, and there was controversy on which museum that was, and like so the stealing of artifacts and putting them in a place for people to come see in the MCU got a little complicated there for a minute.
For sure. I would like to throw one more thing on the museum conversation, which is that for a species who has to think a lot about concealing identity, they don't conceal their identities at all.
That is what I'm trying to.
They don't have disguises.
Well,
they're human disguises.
To be fair, the entire population of people existing within that museum for that meeting were all on graphics payroll. So, like,
yeah. I mean, but still, I just think across the entirety of this show, there's been a lack of disguise.
Well, yeah. But I guess the rationale is like you can always change your appearance after the fact if you have to. I don't know. They don't. No offense to the Skrulls, but they don't seem entirely proactive.
I just want to see them wear silly hats. That's what I'm trying to think. Give them a silly hat and a
yeah. We need to bring it back.
On the topic of the silly hats, I have a really important question about Skrull physiology. Is that even a word? Okay.
Oh, is this about the clothes?
Yeah. When they turned into the Royal Navy people or whatever, they had the like berets or whatever, and I don't know if it's a thing where the Royal Navy people can't wear covers anyways, but however, I was thinking a lot of like what the logistics were of taking that silly little beret off their head was. Is that like, did they just like make it? Is it a part of them? Because like it generates from their transformation. Is it removable? These are the questions I want to know the answers to.
1000%.
Yeah.
We simply don't have enough answers, context, or feeling to appreciate this show in the way that we could. And with that, let's move into our first conversation theme, which is, and there's a banner for this. Yeah, thank you for being ready. I was not. Feminist rant of the week. And Marissa, I would like you to read it exactly as it is written in the document.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was prepared to do. Well, what more is there to say? Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
No, go ahead.
Well, we lost another female character for no reason. Was apparently supposed to have shock value, didn't really, just disappointment. And I realized that I haven't even considered if this show has passed the Bechdel test. Never has. Don't think it will. So really not fun on that side of things. It's giving very much man. It's giving very much show written by men, about men, for men, who pretend that they have like independent, badass female characters and then kill them off with no remorse. So, also using Gaia as like a bargaining tool in the whole museum conversation was another layer that I didn't appreciate. Yeah, this isn't so much a rant as it is just like
holding space.
Dejection.
Feminist holding space.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
I understand why Emilia Clarke took this role. Because when she said she was coming into the MCU, in my head I was going, Game of Thrones burnt her out. I shouldn't say that, but that's what I've heard. Like, you know, that was a big commitment. And then, you know, Star Wars has been a big franchise to be a part of and then not know what's happening there. And now you're going to join the MCU. So I never really got it from that. I was like, oh, she's probably just going to do this show. And then, like, I can't see her becoming someone big in this. So then when she got refrigerated, I was like, that is why she took the part. That is why she is here. Because she was like, oh, it's a quick in and out. Do something cool and important and leave.
Yeah.
So you know what I say? Take the check, Emilia Clarke.
Yes, get your check.
Get your money.
Always get your check.
Yeah.
I'm so, like, I think my main reaction is just boredom. Like, I'm just so bored of it. Like, why? Like, do something else. Be interesting.
It's very uninteresting to always kill gender diverse characters. Like,
boring.
All right. Anything else we want to add to this? Sly, Alexis? All right. Let's just keep it moving. Looking at the time, we've got some more conversations to have, and we're getting towards the end of the show. I think it's time for Plumbing Corner, everyone's favorite segment. The plumbing in this episode. Who added the note about Bob's house?
I don't know, but I thought it. That water pressure was questionable.
It didn't even look like anyway. Yeah.
No, please continue. I would really like you to own this one. I agree, but I think that you have stronger feelings.
Like it came out like a funnel. Like there was no water dripping from the middle of the faucet, and I couldn't. Like it was almost like it was like the pressure was too high, so it was all like coning out, and I have a lot of questions about that, and like
I agree.
Yeah.
Have you never seen a laundry sink that is hooked up to a water supply that is much too strong for the faucet you put on the sink?
I think it's
yes, but not in a kitchen.
It's not a kitchen. That's their laundry room.
Oh, I wasn't paying that much attention. I didn't give a fuck about this episode.
It's not the kitchen.
Okay.
It's like a pantry or a laundry type room.
Alexis, please finish your point, my dear.
No, I just thought it looked like too nice of a house to then have suddenly weird water pressure. So I wanted to know if Bob was aware, or like if it had been a problem for a while that he had just forgotten about, or like my house was built in 1975, so like there are some things you just can't fix because like there aren't the parts for them anymore. Like if it was that type of situation, and it kind of bothered me that like they chose to include water pressure that ridiculous and just did not comment on it. Like it's like if it's gonna be that bold, like I feel like you should say something about it.
Agreed.
Why not just have a normal faucet?
Right. Where was the money on set? Like, what was it intentional? Was it? I agree.
Man, I have so many questions on where the money was spent on this show because I'm not seeing it.
Emilia Clarke's paycheck. That's where I would like to see the money.
Yeah.
I would like to raise for Plumbing Corner that I feel like Plumbing Corner has turned into a reflection of how women are treated by the MCU, because we started, Plumbing Corner with a vision of what plumbing in the MCU could be. We were sold that plumbing could be Bucky Barnes centric. It could raise the bar for all the showers we aspire to have in our homes. The water pressure that we dream of, the ability for water to just come from a random place in the middle of your room and steam to come from a place we don't understand, with a very fun shower curtain. And now we're at a leaky faucet that we don't understand. And I think that is perfectly representative of how I feel about Secret Invasion. We were sold a vision, and we have been given a leaky faucet.
Real.
Yeah. And that leads us to Refrigerator Corner, our newest segment. I don't know if it's our newest segment. Sorry, go ahead. Marissa, would you like to read the notes for this one?
Well, I pitched this segment last week because there was an actual refrigeration and then there was a refrigerator, episode by episode. And I said, I think there's going to be refrigerators in every episode. Ha 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 ha, hee hee hee.
And now,
truly the worst form of manifesting.
Terrible. Oh, see, this is an internal debate I've been having, because is it really being refrigerated? It's not necessarily directly to motivate a male character. Like, it's not, she wasn't murdered to like motivate Talos. She was murdered like in retaliation for her being a double agent. But like, come on. Like, it's, I think it's gotta count.
I think it absolutely has to count, because this is the second woman who has been refrigerated solely for the purpose of throwing Rubik's Cubes, of giving Talos a reason to exist in the series.
Mm-hmm. True. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think like the thing that really pushed me over the edge was the whole like, don't talk about my daughter in the museum conversation. So
we have been introduced to so many unnamed male presenting Skrulls that have lines that we're supposed to care about. So like there have been so many men and so few women. Like, even the one guy that showed up at base camp when we met Amelia Clark, like we met him. We spent time with that dude.
He's named. You're talking about Beto?
What's his name?
Beto.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Great. You got Pagon, the second in command dude. You got the old guy who drives the car. You've got all of the random guards throughout.
Right, like
compound, like
the only female Skrulls I could tell you are Gaia, no more. Katie Finneran, who I think is Rosa, but we've actually never seen her in Skrull form. She's a scientist lady. And then Fury's wife, whose name I'm really not clear on anymore.
Well, that's because there was two names associated with characters that I thought we were led to believe was supposed to be his wife. And now I'm just confused.
I also was under the impression those were all the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I have been playing 2048 on my phone while I watch the show. In 2048, when you have the number game and the Tuesday. Yeah. So my impression of Fury's wife was I had whatever the block is before 2048, and then that scene happened, and I stopped paying attention because I was really trying to get to 2048, and then I lost. And by the time I looked up, it was all over. So I didn't know until we started talking that there was potential confusion, because I was only listening. And once again, I'll say that Secret Invasion was not meant to be an audio drama. It was meant to have either description or the ability to watch.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a sidetrack, but I just wanted to throw that in, that like I'm so checked out that I was more invested in my 2048 phone game than I was.
Yeah, I had a great time going back and forth between Twitter and Threads. I'm now on Threads. Follow me on Threads for the 42 minutes of the episode. So
yeah. Shall we talk about marketing? My voice is really, I'm really losing it here. Shall we talk about
let's talk about the fact that 2 of the main actors at the front of their marketing campaign have been killed off so far.
It's giving Spider-Man. It's giving Marissa Tomei.
Okay, but that I knew was going to happen because she kept being like, finally, I had something to do.
Yeah. Valid. Marvel's done a lot of kind of not guerrilla marketing, but like, they put the scrolls in the Rogers the Musical stuff. They had the billboards that they switched. Like they had scrolls on billboards and they switched them, and like they've been trying to do a lot of things to like play up the scroll of it all. Like, and I'm just like, has anybody cared?
No.
Has anybody cared?
And then like the Rogers the Musical thing of the fact that D23 had to be the one to post it on Twitter, of to be like, did you see the scrolls at Rogers the Musical, blah blah. It's like, no. And I don't think the people that did see it cared, because I really don't know how many people are actually watching this show. So it's just, a lot was missing. It's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the marketing strategy early on was like operating from a place of goodwill, of like, it's a Marvel property. People love Marvel properties. We don't have to explain it too much. We don't have to build excitement. We can just remind people it's happening. And then now they're at a place where they're like, oh, maybe we do have to like make people interested. So I
also think that maybe they overestimated how much people would retain from Captain Marvel in terms of like, Captain Marvel feels so long ago in terms of the volume of Marvel projects we've had since then. And like the volume of scroll related content that we've gotten has been almost zero in recent memory. We've gone from like Falcon and the Winter Soldier Earth drama to like very, very niche, like WandaVision drama with big implications if things were to go wrong, to multiverse of madness seen through Loki, seen through Doctor Strange, seen through like all these characters, to Thor leaving Earth again. Like we've been everywhere, and now we're coming back to this plot. And it's like, not like the marketing almost had to like bring us back into Captain Marvel a little bit and be like, remember, and it didn't like.
Yeah. And I mean, it's 4 years ago. There's been like 20 projects in between, and there was a pandemic where people like forget that time existed. Like 2019 being pre-pandemic, I think is also very relevant to the conversation, because like it feels like it was Endgame and then WandaVision, and nothing happened in between because you were locked in your house. But Captain Marvel happened before Endgame. Like, that is a long time ago.
Very real.
Yeah.
And I think my problem with the marketing was I usually actively avoid it, but it did get me with that poster they posted with the figuring out the password. And I thought, oh, we're getting a fun, like, only murders in the building style Marvel show, right? There will be clues, there will be hints, there will be like a mystery to solve while you're watching it, because that's how like the one piece of marketing that did break through to me was presented. And that's just absolutely not what the show is at all.
Alexis, did anything speak out to you in terms of the pre-show? I don't even want to just call it marketing. I just want to say the whole pre-show starting experience of like marketing, social, press, like all of that moment.
Yeah, there are kind of two things that I have here. One is going off of what Sly said, and like some of the tweets, the poster, like I was very excited about it. Not to bring it up again, those are things that Fringe did when Fringe was out. I was very, invigorated to solve this puzzle. And I think that put me in a mind space where I felt like the point of this show was going to be to try to figure out who was a Skrull, more than the point of the show being we know who all the Skrulls are, but they're just trying to take out all the humans. So I wasn't really prepared. Like the marketing did not prepare me for the show that I got. The second thing I kind of wanted to touch on is that it feels to me in watching this show, like Marvel is trying to sell me on the idea that they have been leading up to this. And it doesn't work, so I don't buy it. Like this feels like a show where instead of our post credits leading up to the next big villain, it feels like our post credits should have been leading up to this show. Like we should have been getting hints in the films since Captain Marvel about what the Skrulls were doing and whose relationship was where and like those types of things. And we didn't. But the show sometimes to me still acts like we did, right? Like you should know things about this relationship that you don't like. You should buy into these people just not arguing all the time because you know what their relationship is. Well, I don't, Marvel. Like you're acting like you showed that to me, but you didn't. And I feel like the marketing is kind of similar in that aspect where it was set up like, oh, this is like a show that we've prepared you for, just like the other ones. But there wasn't really any preparation for it. So
you've now put it in my head. Like, what if every single Marvel project since Captain Marvel had a post-credit scene, even if it wasn't the only one, like a post-credit scene moment where you found out somebody in the project was a Skrull.
Mm-hmm.
Like
iconic.
And then we would have come into this show with like we know they're everywhere because no matter what you watched, you've realized someone on the screen was a Skrull that's infiltrated all these different things. So thank you for that, Alexis. I feel like you've just given me like a new, like now I'm going to pretend that they did that because I would enjoy this so much more. I'm going to rewrite the last 4 years of Marvel in my brain because I think this show now hits for me if I consider that might be true.
Yeah. I mean, man, Alexis's pitches for what this show should have been just continue to make it a much better show than it is.
I think Liz missed
every
that
time. I'm like, damn, yeah. I wish they did that.
Last week I pitched that the train ride should have been like spy shenanigans, like changing hats and stealing coats, and that was how I ruined last week's episode.
I was so upset with the train scene as someone that just watched it 2 hours ago. Also, let's remember that. For that reason, I also really wanted them to have. I wanted them to have to switch the car they were sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted them to have. I was like, why are you putting them on a train and not doing anything fun?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Not even a candy cart. Like nada. So thank you for pitching that because I now also feel validated and I can pretend that there was a shenanigan that took place. What if we find out Nick was a Skrull the entire series?
I feel like so much of everything they have had him say, like all of his dialogue has been so heavily about why he is the human versus the aliens. And I just don't think any of that development they've tried to give him would work if that was the case.
I'm still caught on this toast thing though that has not been justified. Like the whole Nick cut his toast the wrong way in Captain Marvel or whatever it was. He would never eat bread if it was cut diagonally. Like I'm still convinced it's an Easter egg that's gonna shake out somehow. Because it was too weird of a thing to say and then include. And then like if that really
we got the Nobody Calls Me Nick callback. But then, like, people do call him Nick. I don't understand really the argument there. I guess people just don't call him Nick to his face. I don't know.
I do wonder if, like, we're going to find out that maybe there was a Skrull pretending to be him, like, at moments in time or something, right? Like, he was in space for 5 years. Now, like, we have this, or he was part of the blip and then he was in space. Like, we now have some kind of, like, frame of time that's been outlined to us. So, like, are we going to find out he was in space and there was someone going around as him, like in that time frame or something. Like,
well, we know that happened if you watch the movie Far From Home.
You're right.
I know you don't like to support Jake Gyllenhaal's in that movie.
I I blacked it from my memory. Thank you so much for reminding me, folks. And
it's a great idea. It's such a good idea that they did it.
They did it. Me coming up with Marvel things all on my own, man. Listen, what a week we've had. Let's just jump right into some predictions and close this sucker out. I predict that there's going to be an episode where I get the 2048 cube.
Hell yeah.
That's my big prediction for this series, and I'll screenshot it and celebrate it with all of you. I did it during watching Wednesday last week, so I can do it again.
Nice.
That's all I've got. At this point, it's looking like there's going to be a whole lot of action sequences and loud noises. That's not my thing. And Amelia Clark, I think, is not coming back. So I hope Olivia Colman saves this show for me, because I'm feeling real slippery slope. Marissa?
Yeah. I predict that Nick Fury is going to continue to edge into just being Sam Jackson, because it gets stronger and stronger every episode. And I predict that I will continue to lose faith in the plotless plot they are trying to tell. And I also predict that Katie Finneran will be in another episode where she is named in the title sequence and has no lines in the episode, just as she did this week.
Sly?
Yeah, I just want to say for the record, when I say I enjoy plot, what plot, this is not the kind of plot, what plot I'm talking about.
Yeah. Plot, what plot is shenanigans. There are no shenanigans here.
Exactly. I predict that next week we'll have a dramatic tone shift, as every single 6-episode series is wont to do in the 4th episode. And will either take people back into it or just push us further out of the story, but I'm feeling more the latter. I predict that if there really are 2 black women we've seen so far, that one of them will be fridged, unfortunately. And I predict that there's going to be a huge, Talos revenge, justice for my wife and daughter plot that Samuel L. Jackson will have to try to grapple with his own revenge plot to deal with. And it's going to be really boring, and none of us will care.
Alexis?
I predict that I will start playing whatever this 2048 is, because I looked it up and it looks really fascinating and like the type of thing I would enjoy. And I also predict that there will be more fighting maneuvers that make literally no sense. No sense. That are just so absurdly complicated while defying the laws of physics that I don't know how we have gotten from the thigh choke to here. And there will be more of them in the next episode.
Well said. Well said. And you should start playing 2048, because the stakes are blocks, and that's the kind of game that I like to play. That's it. Just squares on a screen. That's as far as it goes. Let's tell the people what we're up to over the next week. I am producer Liz everywhere on the internet, and I don't know what I'm talking about this week. Emmy nominations are happening, though, so I'm sure that will be fun, fresh, exciting times. July 12th is the cutoff, I think. That's when it's all starting to go down. So I'll be talking about that. Producer Liz. And I'm on Threads sometimes when I remember that it's an app I have. Marissa?
Yeah, you can follow me at Miss Abobessa on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And I will be talking about all of the movies and TV I'm going to be watching, because July is very busy. I'm going to be watching Joyride soon, probably tomorrow. Everyone go watch Joyride. And What We Do in the Shadows comes back this week. Theater Camp is in theaters this week. I think I will also be seeing that. I will have lots to talk about. I will continue to rant about the Barbie movie, the Red, White, and Royal Blue movie that I have opinions about. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of girly pop fun.
At Miss Abobissa.
At Miss Abobissa.
Sly?
You can find me on all the places if you want. Don't look for much content there because, yeah. You can find me live on Thursday, where JJ and I are forcing each other to watch the Batman 2004 and Shadowhunters, and it's a time. So come hang out for that. You can find me on Point in Progress as per usual. And I'm trying to figure out what I will be enjoying this week. If anybody, for any reason, who may or may not have a sports themed podcast is looking for a guest, I would like to guest on many a sports themed podcasts. So hit me up for that.
Beautifully done. Beautifully said. And Alexis.
I am just Alexis Blake, and I am currently afraid of the internet, but I think that you should follow everybody else on this screen and watch their content instead.
Well said. And you can follow just Alexis Blake if you're not already. For content, maybe. Who knows? And if not, you'll see Alexis here, and we'll do the after party next week.
And follow the show. Follow us everywhere at After Party Show, SHO, including Threads. I promise the content.
We're also on Threads, which I found out because we followed me.
Okay, but I promise the content will be different than Twitter and Instagram. I'm really trying. The ideation is happening.
Marissa needs some tacos in the comments on Threads, y'all. If you're on Threads, go support the Threads content.
I may or may not have reposted a tweet to the Threads. So, like, there is, like, kind of content there.
Yeah, we're trying.
Everyone's trying. Everyone's doing great, except for Secret Invasion. They're not doing great. But we'll be back to talk about that next time on Welcome to the After Party. Have a good week, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.